We moved to Pakistan when I was quite young as well, around 9 years old. So I've done my college there as well. I've got two siblings. My mom's got a business in Pakistan, so it's like my dad used to come and go. When I was young, it was quite alright, but soon I think I started growing up with the culture. Things started changing, like they wanted me to start doing the headscarf and stuff because of the culture. Um, Going out on time, coming back on time, and things were quite restricted. So when I was around 16, they started saying things like, oh, they want to get me married to someone my mom knows and stuff like that. But I only thought it was a joke. But I think when I turned nearly 17, it started getting more serious and serious. Yes, he was related to me actually because I was adopted. So he was my aunt's son, basically. So I kind of grew up with him. They wanted me to convert as well, but I was never really ready for that. Tried to speak to my mom, but she was just like, "Oh, everything we're doing is for a reason. It's for your life, and a lot of things." I kept on trying, but nothing really worked out of it. And then my dad came to Pakistan as well. I think for the ceremony, I believe so. So I tried to speak to him as well, but I think they already made their minds, so it wasn't going anywhere. Basically, I just woke up and I knew it was supposed to happen. Um, so my mum came in the morning and she was being all really nice and stuff, which was quite unusual. She was like, "Oh, I made you some nice milkshake. You should have it. It's a big day. You should forget whatever happened." And I was just like, "Okay, this is a bit unusual." Had that drink, had some breakfast, and obviously I was just being rushed into a salon to get ready and all of that things for the engagement. And then in the engagement, I started feeling a bit drowsy. I think the word would be drugged, but I didn't really understand what was going on. But I was in my senses, but I was kind of numb. So after the engagement took place, I don't really actually remember what happened. I came home and I slept like it was around 6, 7 o'clock actually. And I slept and I woke up the next morning and I had like quite a heavy head. And then I kind of got it that my mom kind of slipped something in the drink. The day actually before that, obviously I was arguing on the stuff that I didn't want it to do it. And my mum got quite aggressive and she started hitting me and stuff. And I said to her that, "Oh, I'm going to say in front of everyone I don't want to do it." So I think so maybe that was the reason she thought maybe I would create a scene or something in front of the family, which is her respect and everything. Obviously, in that culture, I guess your respect matters more than anything. So I think that's why she did it. Kind of turned into like fights and arguments. So my friend actually suggested me. She was like, "Why don't you try to get some help?" And I was like, "Okay." So I called the British Embassy and I kind of explained them what's going on. I was trying to look for some sort of solution, probably something that would make it better or some advice maybe. My mom is normally at work all day, so I was just like, I'm hiding in my room, kind of tried to speak to them. I told them as well it was really hard to contact you guys, and they were like, "Okay, that's fine. If we need to talk to you or something, we'll just like drop down a text or something. We won't call you or anything that would make it to office." They kind of gave me two options. One was that, okay, you send the police to your house, they bring you back to the embassy, and then we think from there what we're going to do. Or the second option was either from here, someone goes to my dad, arrest them, and then until I come back to the UK, they'll keep him. But I didn't kind of wanted to go with that option. But then if I was thinking maybe if they come to my house without a warrant or something, my mom's going to be like, she ain't going nowhere.
One morning in July 2017, and the call actually came from the forced marriage unit. So the forced marriage unit are a joint Home Office and Foreign Office venture that is set up to help British nationals at risk of forced marriage, either in the UK or abroad. The forced marriage unit had received a call from the High Commission in Islamabad about the victim in this matter and the risk that she was at. They in turn contacted South Wales Police, and that's where I became involved, basically. And the first tactical option was for the forced marriage unit to go out to the victim, to speak to them, find out their wishes, and then set about a repatriation if that's what the victim wanted. That tactical option had to be discounted because the area that the victim lived in was dangerous and it was too remote, and it wasn't safe for force or embassy staff to go out to that area. The next tactical option was exactly the same, but involved NGO staff to go out, but again they wouldn't go to that area because it was an area where honour-based killings and honour-based abuse was prevalent. Third tactical option was that the victim would ask her family to go into a big city such as Islamabad to do a shop and get ready for her wedding. Once there, the forced marriage unit, or the High Commission staff, could meet up with the victim and could try and get her views then. Through close consultation between the forced marriage unit and the victim, we didn't feel that was a safe option, which left tactical option number 4, which was to obtain this forced marriage protection order on the father, living within the South Wales police area, serving that upon them with the threat of arrest on it, should the victim not be taken voluntarily by her family to the High Commission in Islamabad. Another one of the prohibitions that we had on the order was that embassy staff had to stay in contact and have a number available to contact the victim post 24 hours serving of the order, so that there would be someone checking up on the victim's well-being and their safety. So although it doesn't necessarily have to be the police directly in touch, it's really important to have that clear line of communication and to do everything with the consent and the knowledge of the victim as well. They're best placed. They're the people that know the risk to themselves.
When I actually first came back, I remember I was still scared and I'm going to get off the plane, who's going to be there, what if there's no one there? I met this lady, she was from this agency called South All Black Sisters or something. They took me back to a B&B sort of thing to stay there for a couple of days. I think I stayed there for around 2 weeks. So I actually came with nothing, and it was really hard because I had no sort of picture ID or basically any sort of ID. I even travelled without a passport, so I had to get everything back, but I had no sort of ID. So it was really hard. And I actually just recently just got my passport and I've got my own place now. Things are great. I've got friends who are like my family. First, they didn't make any contact with me. I guess they were surprised as well what happened. Recently, my cousin from the adopted family tried to contact me, basically tried to make things better, but I was like, no, I think I've started my new life now and I just can't really forget what happened, so I'm just trying to move on. People think I'm here to study. That's what she's told all the family, because I still speak to some people who are not my family, but they're like family friends who are not really close to my mom. They told me that, oh, so what you're studying? I was like, I don't go uni yet. Like, I've applied, but I'm not going yet, probably next year. They were like, oh, but your mom said you're there, you come visit and stuff. I was like, okay. I didn't really tell them, but I guess the respect is more than me. Like, still, she's lying to people around, and I guess that's the culture, I don't know.
My concerns and my fears about what would happen if we didn't take action. Well, the obvious concern is that the victim would end up in a life that they didn't want for themselves, a real difficult life when they had their own dreams and ambitions, and how they wanted their life to turn out. The other concern was that the level of violence would actually increase to the victim. So I knew from being in touch with them that they were subject to abuse and physical, not just emotional, but physical abuse as well from other family members. And in the run-up to this forced marriage, because the victim was protesting, that level of violence was actually going up. At one point, the victim was actually pushed down the stairs and suffered a broken ankle as a result. She was hit over the head with various objects throughout the house, and it was all painting a picture for me that things were getting rapidly worse and worse, and that we needed to take that action to try and prevent that violence from increasing, or to prevent them from going down a life that they didn't choose.
Marriage is a really big step, I guess, and you need to know the person you're going to spend your whole life with. Someone you don't know, you're being tied with them for your whole life, especially someone you've only thought as your cousin who is much older than you as well. I don't really know what it would be like, but I know I probably would suffer from depression maybe. I think I'm quite lucky that I was British, because if I wasn't British I would be married today.